YOLO dope people of YouTube. So today I want to talk to you guys about suicide and depression. This is a video I've made in the past. I went into a lot of detail about the severe state of depression I was in and how I wasn't suicidal. But I want to touch upon another subject related to this, right? So because I was so fucking suicidal, man, and just to recap, so I was in severe depression for like 15 years, from my mid-teens to 30, about, give or take, right? I did not have a vision living past 20. It was just unimaginable for me. I literally had no plans after 20. I couldn't see myself past 20. I just knew I was gonna die before 20. And this is the weird thing, okay? So, I had a rough upbringing, which is no surprise to anybody. Everyone had a rough upbringing around the times I grew up in. I'm a 90s kid from LA. Everyone had a rough upbringing. I'm not unique in that factor. But I did hit manic depression by the time I was like 16, right? But something else started happening to me, man. I started seeing what's called shadow people. And I didn't know what shadow people were until I tried to research and find out on my own, what is it that I was seeing? And was it a part of my mind? Was I going insane? Was this like all these questions about why am I seeing shadow people? Now, I still see shadow people till today. I'm not in depression anymore. I've gotten over almost everything. But shadow people have stayed consistent in my life ever since my mid-teens. And one day I was in my room hanging out, man, and the only way I can describe this is like when I read the Bible and when like God came to Adam and Eve and he was speaking to them, right? And they could hear God and all this. I'm not saying shadow people are God by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am saying is like there was this voice talking to me. And it wasn't my imagination. It wasn't drugs. It wasn't a hallucination. It wasn't anything. It wasn't. And the voice, what it told me is that I need to get ready or prepare myself because I am going to die soon. That's all the voice really told me in not so many words, you know, or not in those words. It told me just, you know, you need to prepare yourself because you're not gonna make it that long, basically. And I understood that I'm not gonna make it past 20. And this severely impacted my life. I was already manically depressed, and then the thought that I was not gonna make it to 20, because I took it as fact. It was something beyond me, something I couldn't explain, something a miracle of sorts in a weird way, right? And it doesn't sound like it is a miracle of sorts, but it was. And I'll tell you why it was such a fucking miracle, because this actually ended up saving my life. And initially, this made me even more depressed. It made me even more depressed knowing for a fact that I was gonna die soon. It's horrible to know when you're gonna die. It's even worse to know that you're gonna die young. So it kind of threw me into deeper depression at first, and then it slowly made me sociopathic. I accepted my fate. I was not afraid of death. I was completely comfortable with dying young. That was something I accepted. The depression already made me fucking suicidal. And this was just another notch, another thing. And for the life of me, even though I was doing so much at a young age that no one else was fucking doing at the time, man. So like, I was going to school, I dropped out of school, I went to college, right? I opened up my own business while I was working full-time somewhere else. I had my friends and I was hustling, making money. And I had my girlfriend, who ended up my fiance, and I had broads on the side, and I was just like trying to pack as much into my life in terms of excitement, in terms of meaning, in terms of drive that I could possibly do before I died. And I knew it was gonna be before 20, right? So I became very reckless. I had a whole bunch of suicidal tendencies, of which really impacted my relationship with the girl of my dreams at the time, right? And it impacted our relationship so severely, man, because she wasn't going through what I was going through, but she was seeing me going through this, right? And what I was going through was horrific. I had no vision of the future, man, and it was crazy. Like, she wanted to go to school, and I told her, like, dude, I want you to go and get a master's degree. I will do your fucking work for you. Just don't go into a 2-year career college. Don't just go to fucking college, get a master's, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a master's and a PhD. So I convinced her, and I was actually doing this girl's work, and this is how I learned psychology, because I read all her books. I knew all this shit, but it was like I knew I was gonna die, and that was like my last good deed before I died. My good deed was that I'm gonna set this person up with a degree and a future set with this degree, for her to never struggle in terms of finances, right? And I really stuck to it, and I did it, man. Like, I wrote this girl's thesis for her master's graduation, and got a 100%, man. Like, I learned that psychology came so easy to me. It was just natural. Like, I didn't even have to read most of the fucking books. I could just wing it and get a perfect score, right? And this voice that told me I was gonna die, like I said, at first it made me really depressed, but then it told me, not that it told me, but then I was not afraid of death by any means. I was afraid of dying in a horrific, painful manner, but I was not afraid of death itself. Like, it was gonna come and go, and the way I saw it, it was like I was just gonna turn off, like when you go to sleep and you don't dream. That's kind of how I saw it. And this made me very fucking cold. It made me really cold in terms of my emotions. Everything got shut off. Even though I was in manic depression, like, all my emotions got so toned down, so turned off. It was like I was a fucking zombie. And every now and then I would get this flood of every emotion at the same time, and I would break down, you know? And she saw me break down a couple times, and it was horrific. It was horrific for her to see it, right? Like, and I would always make weird comments, like, I don't want to live past 50, because I was already on the mind state that I was going to die young. And I was finding all these reasons why I didn't like certain things, like life beyond 50 or life beyond 60, right? Your body's falling apart, your mind's not as sharp as it was, you're not who you were, all these things. But even though I was saying these things and I meant them, I wasn't really thinking about the impact it was having on her. And the shit this girl dealt with, man, I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to love someone that was so severely gone in terms of their depression. And my depression was severe. Like, I genuinely wanted to smoke myself every fucking day. I would wake up to why the fuck am I alive? And I would sleep to why the fuck did I survive this day? And I hope I don't wake up, right? Like, and then a weird thing happened. I turned fucking 20. And it was like, the best way I can describe it is like when you go to a new school for the first time, right? Like when you went to elementary for the first time, then junior high school or high school for the first time, and you're this like gloomy-eyed, like everything is fresh and so much is going on, and you don't. That's how I felt when I hit 20. Like, what the fuck? How the fuck did I make it to 20? I wasn't supposed to make it to fucking 20. Like, what the fuck is going on? But that thing of like, get ready to die, brace yourself for it, it fucking took over me, man. It programmed my vision of life. And a weird thing happened is that around 30, I got shot 5 times. I almost died. I thought I was dying, and in my last moments, man, I had a whole bunch of thoughts, and one of the thoughts was like, so this is what you were telling me to get ready for. And I realized, like, holy shit, man, you not only told me I was gonna die young, but you gave me an extra 10 years. It wasn't even like borrowed time. Like, for some odd fucking reason, you gave me an extra decade. And I was content. I was content of dying right then and there. And I acknowledged the fact that I was given an extra 10 years, man, an extra decade on top of what I thought I was gonna live, right? And I believe that event of me getting shot up was so spectacular and so beyond the norm. And what took place that day was so beyond reality in terms of what you might think would actually take place, right? Like, if I saw whatever took place to me, if I saw it in a movie, I would hands down off the top, just, this is the fakest shit I've ever seen. There's no fucking way. This isn't real. That's how wild that scenario was. And to me, it was like, I showed these things that I was such a badass that they gave me a pass. They literally gave me a pass. Like, you're supposed to die today, but holy shit, man, you showed up and showed out like a motherfucker. And because of that, we're gonna give you more time, man. We're gonna see what your badass self can do with some more time. And before me even getting shot up and all that, like, I lost my fiance, right? Like, I completely fucked that up. Like, you can't be in a depressive state. And salute to that girl, wonderful person, man. Just hands down, wonderful person in every way, shape, and form. And we were together for 8 years, engaged for 3. The shit that girl had to go through, man, in terms of my mind state and where I was and how fucked up I was in the head, all these things, plus all the fucking crazy scenarios and all the, like, she dealt with a lot. And I wasn't a very horrifically difficult person, but I was by no means an easy person to deal with, you know. And we really did have something special. In 8 years, we raised our voice to each other twice. Like, that was just off limits. we were able to conversate. Like, if there was a problem, we just conversated along. We wouldn't yell and shout, and that's some miraculous shit for Armenians. I don't know if you guys know Armenians, but in LA, there's a lot of us out here, man. And we're not very fucking the most civil fucking people when it comes to disagreements. You know what I'm saying? So it was miraculous that I created and I was a part of this relationship that it was very down to earth and very realistic and very humble and very civil in terms of discourse and problems and whatnot. And at the end, all that shit went to waste, you know. And there's so many reasons for that, but I'm until this day, I don't hold animosity against that person. She did get her master's. Like I said, I wrote her thesis on the biopsychosocial study of a real case, and I had to provide real medical, psychological answers to the problem, and what the remedy was, and what the actual problem, right? And I wrote this, like, the rough draft to this 30-page thesis, of which I handed to her for her to just clean up that 20 pages and turn it to 30, right? And even though she was in disagreement with whatever founding I had in terms of that, we had a small argument, and she trusted me anyway, and she got a 100%. And I was trying to force her to go get a PhD. And this was one of the biggest arguments we had in our relationship. And I was like, dude, I'll help you with the fucking PhD. Just go get it. Because the way I saw it is like, dude, I'm binding myself to you, you know? What I do is yours. What you do is mine. What I make is yours. What you make is mine. It doesn't matter that you're the one with the degree. I don't give a fuck. I'll sacrifice and I'll do it for you. You just have to show up to class type of shit, you know? And she would show up to class, but in terms of a PhD, she was burned out of going to school all that time and working and dealing with me and my problems and all this shit. And I don't know if she ever did get her PhD, but I don't know. Salute to that person, man. A great human being. One of the best human beings I've ever met. I'm not gonna tarnish her name or shit on her in any way, shape, or form. And I never did. Even after we broke up. But as far as our family goes, because there's a lot of family drama. As far as our family goes, it's fucked up. But I told her, man, fuck the family, man. They can crash and burn. And what's fucked up is she had a cousin, man, and this was the one and only individual in her entire family and extended family that I actually respected, because he was young, but he was a man. He told me, look, I understand you guys are going through this thing, and I'm not going to pick sides, and I'm not going to point the finger at you or her. I understand, you know, people go through things, and like, I've known you for a while, and I'm gonna respect you for a man. It just, you know, things sometimes don't work out, and I don't want to be a part of this, you know. And he told me straightforward, like a man, like, this is it, and this is that, and this is that. And I said, thank you, man. You're the only fucking person that actually grabbed his balls and told me, bro, this is who I am, and this is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I'm not comfortable with. And we had this crazy understanding of man to man, like this maturity. And the sad thing is, this kid died at like 19, 20, man. He was on a motorcycle. He crashed, burned to death. And it made me feel like shit, because I had told her, like, as far as the family goes, man, they could crash and burn. I don't give a fuck. But not that one, man. Not that one dude. Not him. Why? It was him. Not, like, really, man. From all the fucking people that could have crashed and burned, it was like the token family member, you know, the poster child family member that crashed and burned, man. And going back, like, there's so many things that I would say, and I meant them. Nothing I said was like I didn't mean them, but things saying like I don't want to live past 50. You know, if you're in a relationship with someone and you're saying something like that, that person's thinking like, holy fuck, man, like I want to spend my life with you, and you're talking about you know, you want to give me like 20 years, 30 years, and then what? Like you're so careless that you're just gonna go out while we have kids, and I'm gonna, you know, it sits different on the other side. And now, as an older, mature adult, I see it different, and I see certain mistakes that I made, man. But all those mistakes, they came from a place of really dark and really a really bleak place, man. And like I said, like I became a sociopath to the point where she was a person that she's like, I think you're a sociopath. And she gave me multiple tests and stuff, and it came out to be so, of which I didn't necessarily believe at the time. But the more I lived my life, the more I realized, like, this girl really was onto something. She knew me really well. She realized so many things. She realized I was colorblind when I didn't know I was colorblind. She realized I was a sociopath when I didn't realize I was a sociopath. She realized I was in depression when I wasn't fully aware I was in depression. I had an eating disorder. I wasn't aware I had an eating disorder until after I recovered from depression. So many fucking things, man. You know, and as far as my friends, man, like, as far as people, as far as family, like, I always wore a mask. I was really ashamed to show the fact that I was in severe depression. I saw it as like, I kind of saw it as a weakness. I was kind of ashamed of it. So, like, everybody knew, they just didn't know the severity of it, you know? And the severity of it was that I was hanging in by a shoestring on a fucking daily. On a daily, man. Like, I had so many suicidal tendencies, right? Like, I had fantasies of suicide, but I never committed suicide because it was like, if I was going to commit it, I was going to do it. There wasn't going to be an attempt type of thing, right? So, but I had so many suicidal tendencies in terms of my carelessness. I was blessed with good health, with amazing strength and capability and knowledge. And I kind of rode that wave. I didn't give a fuck. And it was like, I did so many things that, like, holy shit, man, if other people did that, they would have been demolished by 20. So, like, one thing I could say, like, I was really into, like, I had sports car, and I was really into racing that shit, man. And I would tell myself every time before I would go to race, because I'd hop on the freeway and stuff like that and race on the freeway. And I'll tell myself, like, you know, today I might not make it home, but it's all good, you know? And I'd hop on the freeway and race, dude. No seatbelt, no nothing. I'm doing 130, 140, 150 miles an hour. And it was like, to me, it was like, if I were to have crashed and died and burned, it's like, I'd rather have me die at 150 miles an hour than for me to crash and survive 150 miles an hour. Because, like, none of these cars were designed to withstand such a thing. So to me, it was like, if I were to survive such a thing, I'd be a vegetable. So I'd rather just, it was like, just, it is what it is. And I had so many suicidal tendencies like that, where I was constantly on a daily fucking basis just pushing the line further and further and further, you know? And so the reason why I'm saying all this fucking craziness of it, right? Like, I'm shedding so much light on the reality of things that occurred, my thoughts, my, like, events and stuff like that, right? Like, if I could go back, man, and I could talk to myself, I'll tell myself to go get help. I'll tell myself to tell the people around me the truth, that I am not in the right mind state. I am beyond fucking what's considered normal. I'm fucked up in so many ways, and I probably need help, and I probably need help getting help, because my bleak perspective of just how unimportant I was and how little value my life had, right? Even though I had this immense ego, this immense self-esteem, and I had all, like, I wasn't insecure by any means whatsoever, but I had no self-worth. My life wasn't valuable. No one's life was valuable. You understand what I'm saying? It was like people are like just the dogs and cats and trees. Like, one is not valued more than the other. You know what I'm saying? And that was my mind state. And if I could talk to my younger self, I would say, go get help, and go get professional help, get placed on some medication for depression, and maybe speak to people, and get the people around you that actually love you and care for you to be on top of you in a way that you're not going to be on top of yourself. Because that bleak perspective, that carelessness, those suicidal tendencies, I was not going to get help on my own. There's no way that was happening. Someone had to hold my hand and take me somewhere and be like, you need help and you're getting it, and I'm next to you, and here it is. And that's what I would tell my younger self, man. Like, just go get fucking help, because just like the depression came out the fucking blue, it took 15, 16 years, and it went away in an instant. And that was one of the things that was always on my mind. Like, maybe, just fucking maybe, just the same way this shit just came out of nowhere, it might one day go away out of nowhere. And I was willing to push day after day after day after day, hoping that one day it will just go away. But I never got help. I never did anything, and then one day it went away. It just went away one day. And if this reaches anyone out there that's going through depression and has suicidal thoughts and is going through all kinds of hardship in life, because no matter what I did, man, like, even though I overpacked my plate with shit to do just to keep my mind busy, right? It was never enough, and it was never good enough. And all I could say to you, from a person that's actually been there, seen it, done it, and by some miracle, by some fucking, my life got saved by a shoestring, and I don't even know how, man. Like, I completely fell off the fucking mountain, and my shoestring got caught and saved my life somewhere, and that's a metaphor. Like, all I could tell you is get help. Tell the people that really love and care for you. Tell them you're fucked up and you need help. It's okay, because if you don't help me, I'm not gonna make it. Tell them what you need. If it's a hug you need, get your hug. If it's affection, get your affection. If it's a moment to yourself, it's a moment to yourself. If it's a break, it's a break. If it's keep me fucking busy, it's keep me busy. If it's put me in an institution, put me in an institution. If it's let me try out all these pills these doctors are talking about, and let me try this therapy shit of talking with people and all that. Let me try it. It's better than, me blowing my brains out, or me taking a whole bunch of fucking pills and never waking up. It's better than that. And in my case, my mind state was really like, I did want to fucking blow my brains out, but I was like, I'm not gonna do it until my depression is over. And after my depression is over, if I still want to kill myself, then it's my right to do so. I was born with rights that no one could give me or take away from me. And turning myself off is my born right. But I have to overcome the depression first, because is this depression or these feelings, are they clouding my judgment? Are these scenarios, these moments, are they impacting my judgment? I had to overcome that first. And if I overcame that first, and I felt like I was a normal human being, then and only then, if I felt suicidal, it was my right to go through with it. And when I was out of depression and suicide and all that, like the suicidal tendencies slowed down. I don't feel like murking myself. And don't get it twisted, like everyone thinks about killing themselves once a week, but no one fantasizes about it and no one goes through with it. And in my case, after the depression, the fantasies went away. Suicide didn't seem like this great option. Like it was better than living another day. So it was clouding my judgment. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I'd most definitely 100% tell myself, like, hey man, go get fucking help. You're fucked up in the head. You're not right. You need help, dude. And that's what I'm gonna share to you guys, man. And it was a daily struggle, like, just make it to the next day, make it to the next hour, whatever it is, right? And that's how I was living, just day to day to day to day, one after another, just make it to the next day. And one day I was out of depression. So that's my honest thoughts about that shit, man. And if it reaches the right people, so hopefully it did. I hopefully helped somebody by sharing some shit that actually I had to go through, and it was some crazy fucking shit. So if you want to talk to me, man, you can talk to me. Hit me up on you can hit me up in the comment section. You can whatever the fuck, bro. I'm willing to help people out. I don't give a fuck. I went through it. It's something I learned, and it's something that it should be shared. So therefore, hit me up if that's how you feel. If it's something you're going through, if you need some type of guidance, I don't give a fuck. I support the troops, you know what I'm saying? So solo, YOLO, BOLO, you guys have a wonderful day. I wish you guys health, physically and mentally. Peace.